watch this video if you are curious about what Developer Evangelists do or if you want to become one. Hi everyone, my name is Seho. I make algorithm tutorials and solve leak codes and career tips in tech. So if you're new here, consider subscribing and like this video. Today we're gonna have an interview with Vickie Li. She is a developer evangelist at a startup, and she's also a future author. She's writing a book about web securities, and she's also a blogger and a YouTuber and podcaster. So if you're interested in learning about web securities and developer evangelist, consider following her as well. All right, let's move on to the interview. Yeah, all right, let's start.
Let's start, yeah.
Yeah, so today I invited Vickie. She is a developer evangelist, and today we're gonna talk about what she does as a developer evangelist and some other fun questions. So, all right, let's begin. So Vickie, what do you do as a developer evangelist?
So hi everyone, my name is Vickie Li, and I am currently a developer evangelist at an application security firm called Shift Left. And a developer evangelist is sort of like a communicator between a tech company and outside developers. My main job is to communicate with developers, learn what they need in a security product, and then bring that back to my company and work with my colleagues to make that happen. And another part of my job is that I do a lot of developer security education and outreach in the form of like blog articles and podcasts to let people know about our product and sort of have a conversation with developers about how our product can help them with their work.
Oh, you actually do podcasts too?
Yeah, I do. I started working on one of my colleagues' podcasts a few months ago. And we've recorded like 3 episodes now, like having different security people on the podcast. Is really interesting. It's called Sources and Sinks, so check it out.
Okay, I will have all that stuff on the description, so you can actually check Vickie's YouTube channel and podcast as well. So
yeah, sure.
Let's get back to the interview. So you mentioned that actually privately you were a software engineer. You did some freelancing, and now you were the developer evangelist. So why did you make that career change?
So I think one of the big parts about me taking my current job is that being a developer evangelist, I know would require a completely different skill set. Obviously, for me, it's still extremely important for me to work in a technical position because I really like to deal with the technical aspects of things, like, the principle behind the technology and how you implement things in software development. But another very important thing for me at my point in my career is that I want to learn new things. And a very important aspect of my job is communication skills, like writing, speaking to people, presenting. And being a developer evangelist will force me to learn these things, which was one of the main reasons of me taking the current job.
Yeah, that's a really great reason, I think. Yeah, communication is really important for many different jobs. And I think for developer evangelist, having good communication skills, I think it's really, really, really important because that's the job. And
yeah, that's the job. So I'm not saying like as a developer, I didn't have to communicate with people. I obviously still do, but it's just like now it's a much bigger part of my job, and I'm challenged in many more ways than my previous job as a freelance developer.
So can you talk about those challenges that you had as a developer evangelist?
For instance, one of the challenges that I've had is that I'm not, the most organized presenter ever. I tend to just ramble on about whatever I want to talk about. And that is something that I really want to improve on, right? Because I want to, one of my main sort of aspiration, quote unquote, is that I want to help developers write secure code. And I want to keep on doing this security education thing and, spread the word about how we can create more secure software. And if you can't present well, then that's out of the question, right? So I think that's something that I really, really need to learn. And that's my main challenge for now.
That's That's great.
And also, actually, another like big challenge that I
Mhm,
just learned about being evangelist is that you really need excellent organization skills because you
mhm.
have so many different projects going on.
I see.
Mhm.
I see.
So it's not
So,
just like
mhm.
one product, right? It's, the podcast, the blog, videos, working with outside creators, etc.
Okay, I see. So, can you introduce some of the products that you are doing right now?
The product or the company's product itself or some of the projects that I'm involved in.
Uh, let's talk about both. So let's
Hmm.
begin with your employers, company's product. Like,
Hmm.
yeah.
So our company is an application security company.
Mhm,
So I think most people would categorize our current product as static analysis scanning.
mhm,
So our project right now, it's called ShiftWeb Core. It's a platform that allows developers to scan, sort of assess the security of their application in many different ways, like
mhm.
scanning for open source vulnerabilities, scanning for the vulnerabilities written into source code, etc.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very cool product. And then, so what I do for my company right now is that
Mhm,
I have many different initiatives going on.
mhm,
I write technical blog posts
mhm.
on our company blog, and I also produce different kinds of like promotional documents that we need aimed at developers. Because for these kind of documents, you really need someone with technical background to
Right.
understand what developers look for and
Mhm,
what would resonate with developers the most. And I also host a podcast,
mhm,
obviously, and it's a podcast focused on the security audience.
mhm,
Like in the past, we've talked to Live Overflow, which is a
mhm,
penetration tester YouTuber,
mhm.
and we also interviewed KT Paxton Fear, who is like a researcher in cybersecurity.
Okay. So
Mhm.
at your work, you were managing blogs, writing blogs, posts about securities, and
Mhm.
also talking to security professionals on your company's podcast. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
for sure. Yeah.
So that's a lot of like a different type of projects that you are doing in parallel, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's why you mentioned that organization skills is pretty important because you have multiple
Yeah.
products going on like that.
Yeah, organization skills are crucial, I would say. But I hope that I just started my job like about 3 months ago, right?
Mhm,
I hope that eventually I'll be able to find like a rhythm to things. I can actually get a better handle on things.
mhm.
Right now, I think I'm still like trying very hard to figure out what I'm doing, sort of,
That's
But I'm pretty sure eventually I will
mhm.
find, my path.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the thing
And
about being
mhm,
evangelist also is that you really get to decide like what the direction of your work will be.
okay.
So, do I want to do a podcast? Do I want to do a YouTube channel? Do I want to
Mhm.
make a Coursera course? It's very much up to you. So it's up to you to decide what direction you want to go with your job too.
Okay. As a developer evangelist, how do you balance your learning, technical
Mhm.
side of learning, and working on those posts and podcasts and stuff like that? I guess because I'm asking this because in order to write blog posts, you kind of have to know.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So how do you do that? Like,
Yeah, I would say like for now, I'm still fairly new to my job and I'm still trying to find a balance in everything. But the way I see it is that these content creation
mhm.
job responsibilities I have goes in tandem with my learning,
Okay,
right?
yeah,
Because in order to, and like you said, in order to create like a really technical blog post that developers could understand very well,
mhm.
in order to present the information well, you first need to understand the information well. And that's what I've always known since
Mhm.
like I started blogging 2 years ago.
Mhm.
That the thing with being a technical blogger is that in order to blog about something, you need to understand it very
Right.
well first. So everything goes together in that sense. Learning is part of my job.
That's awesome. Actually, the
Mhm.
learning is part of your job.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Um, Next question. What are some of the most exciting experience that you had as a developer evangelist?
I would say like this job really opened the door for me to meet a lot of interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
Like because as a part of my job, I need to, learn about developers' experiences and then bring that feedback back to my company. So I
Mm-hmm.
got to talked to a lot of different developers about their work experiences, about what challenges they face at work. And I also got to talk with a lot of interesting security professionals.
Mm-hmm.
I think back when I was freelancing, there wasn't that much of a chance to communicate with security folks in other companies because I was just sort of doing my own thing as a freelancer. And the only context that I have is either my personal security friends, the fans of my blogs,
Mm-hmm.
and also the people that I directly work with. But right now, the situation is more like I have all these connections to other companies through my company, right? So it opens new doors for me to meet new people.
Did you always like meeting new people and building those relationships? Because I know some people some people don't want to.
Yeah, I've always loved talking to people, actually. I would probably categorize myself as an awkward extrovert. Like I'm pretty awkward on the surface, but I really, really enjoy other people.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and I think part of the reason, actually, another like small reason why I really, really wanted a full-time job
Mhm.
um, the end of last year was that I feel like because of COVID and my freelance job, I was becoming quite isolated,
Right.
right? Yeah, so because I wasn't meeting my friends and I was just meeting like a few contacts with my clients at work.
Mhm.
And I really miss, the camaraderie, the bouncing off ideas with colleagues. And yeah, that's something I really enjoy right now at my place of employment too. Like to be able to work with smart people and,
Mhm.
have their ideas and like learn from their experiences too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think having coworkers and constantly meeting, talking to people, actually good for mental health. Like for
Yeah,
me,
for sure.
yeah. So before COVID, like I really like to go into office and talking to people and eat lunch
Mhm.
together and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, COVID is like the worst for
yeah,
extroverts, I think,
exactly.
because I mean, in college, for example, like pre-COVID era, I really like, going to like these big meetups, these
Mm-hmm.
big parties, and
Yeah,
talk to different
exactly.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I think one of the best things in like working in security, one of the best moments is
Mm-hmm.
that when you talk to someone
Mm-hmm.
and they have the same interests as you.
Right, right.
Like for instance, for like a really niche interest like application security, like how many people in the world like wants to talk about application security? Not that many,
Right, right,
right? So when you meet someone like that, it's just amazing.
right.
Mhm.
Exactly, yeah. All right, so next question. So do you have any preference? Like you worked on freelancing and right now you're working as a developer evangelist. What's your preference? Do you
Preference?
like developer evangelist more than actual being a freelance developer?
I don't really know honestly
Mm-hmm.
because I really, really enjoy being a developer. Like it's a very cool job. Like you
Mm-hmm.
actually get to build things that people will use and you get to design different you get to design what the product is made of, and that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But right now I think I enjoy my job a lot, but also I'm still trying to find a balance, right? And find a direction as to how I want my job to be. And I currently at Shift Left, there's a lot of freedom for me in terms of
Mm-hmm.
what projects I want to pursue. So my day-to-day responsibilities are changing quite a lot now. So I don't think I can really say that I enjoy my job now
Mm-hmm.
more than I enjoy being a developer. I think the jury's still out to decide.
I see. So how is your day-to-day life look like as a developer evangelist?
I think the day to day changes a lot. I don't know if my day to day is ever gonna like stabilize
Mm-hmm.
or maybe just not, and that's fine too. So I just tell you what I did last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last week,
Yeah.
I wrote, I mean, three like articles,
Mm-hmm.
and then I interviewed two people. I reviewed some blog posts, I learned about some technical aspects of our product. What else? I worked with a lot of content creators. Last week I spent a lot of time meeting with content creators because we're trying to create this new like guest blogging and for like a YouTube show kind of thing for my company. So I spent a lot of time talking to content creators like, oh, what do you want to do? Like, what kind of content can you create? Sort of brainstorm with them. I also spent a lot of time brainstorming content ideas for my company as well. Yeah. So that's sort of
work. Yeah, that's a lot of work. I think that's exciting work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very exciting, especially like as I said, I really enjoy other people. And last week I had these opportunities to, sort of rekindle the connection with a lot of my contacts and, create new connections as well. Like I got to learn about, really cool tech bloggers and their blogs because they reach out to me for the guest blogging opportunity, for instance.
Oh, I see. So I think a developer evangelist is a really great job if you want to talk to new people and create like projects to communicate the technologies and knowledges. And also, I feel like it requires some sort of kind of entrepreneurship, I think, because I feel like creating all of these platforms, like talking about the company's YouTube channels and all this stuff actually requires some sort of a lot of planning and strategies and all this stuff. Yeah. So yeah, do you also think that Dev Evangelist kind of require?
Yeah, I completely agree because so many, especially at my company, right? Because our company is still, I'm the first developer evangelist. So I sort of get to like decide what we do.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so there's a lot of creativity involved too in like thinking, oh, how could I best present this product? How could I best present my company? And how could I best present this technical aspect of our product? Those are all things that require a lot of creativity and ingenuity. And that's I think one of the most amazing parts about my job is the ability of the job to challenge me. Really, I feel very challenged, and I think that's a good thing.
That's awesome. All right, next question, career related question. So do you have any advice for people who want to become a dev evangelist?
I would say, so I got my job, I think, because one of my company's founders read my blog. So I think one of my biggest advice is not just for the developer, not just for people who want to be dev evangelists, but for people who want to get into technical roles in general, to start like a blog, a YouTube channel, or some sort of media outlet to document your learning, because that way you can communicate to employers that first of all, you're a good communicator. You might be a good writer, or you're really good at explaining things. And second of all, you have the technical background to understand these concepts. Right. So for my technical blog, I talk a lot about web vulnerabilities. I go into the details of vulnerabilities, explaining why that happen and how you exploit these vulnerabilities. So I think that really showed me, that blog got me a lot of job offers actually, because I think that blog really showed me that I have the technical expertise, but also I can present information really well.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome advice. Yeah, thank you for sharing your advice. Yeah, so check out her blog post and YouTube channel, because her blog has a lot of really great information about web security, and YouTube also talk about securities as well, and all the contents are great. So check her channel out. I'm gonna put that on the description. All right. So next,
thanks so much. I mean, yeah, that's amazing. And when you think about it, it's like a side project too, right? It's like developers, they have their like software engineering side project. Security people, our side project is like a blog.
Right. So what's your channel's name, Vickie?
My channel's name is Vickie Li Dev. It's VICKIELIDEV.
Yeah. So all right.
So that's my domain as well.
Link is on the description. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Seho.
No problem. So do you do any side projects And do you want to formally like go through what your side projects and researches are? Because I mean, we kind of like talked about it, but can you introduce formally?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now my biggest side project
Mhm.
is not my blog or my video actually.
What is
My
your
big
biggest side project?
my big side project now that's eating up all my free time is working on my book about web hacking. It's
Awesome.
yeah, so it's called Bug Bounty Bootcamp, and
Mm-hmm.
me and my publisher we plan on releasing it in August.
Mm-hmm.
So right now it's sort of like it's crunch time, it's a lot of editing, a
Oh,
lot of
wow.
revisiting, a lot of like preparations going
Mm-hmm.
on with the images. It's crazy. And sort of that's eating up all my time. That's why I haven't been so active on my blog or YouTube right now.
That's, I mean, that's really great. Wow. So bug bounty bootcamp. So can
Yeah.
you, I guess it talks about the web security. Can you introduce what this book is going to, have? Like who should read this book?
So the people that should read this book are people who want to learn about web security,
Mm-hmm.
and in particular people who want to learn to hack web applications. The book is called Bug Bounty Bootcamp because
Mm-hmm.
of the bug bounty industry. Like, bug bounty is sort of a program where companies pay hackers to hack their applications.
Mm-hmm.
And my book is about learning how to hack web applications with some tips to help you get into bug bounties and actually earn from bug bounty programs.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So that's gonna be published on when? I missed your actually.
Uh, Hopefully
Mhm.
August, but I think
August.
it really
August.
depends on like how much time I can put into
Mhm.
it. Hopefully August, maybe sometimes before. I'm not sure yet.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's really amazing that you're writing a book. Yeah, that's really
Thank
awesome.
you.
And
Yeah.
so stay tuned. So her book is going to be out very soon. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it's the thing is like writing a book is way more work than I anticipated.
Hmm.
Especially so I started writing this book last year in April, and by December I have the first draft, right?
Right.
But then after that, oh, like so much editing, like
Yeah.
technical edit, copy edit, art edit coming soon.
Hmm.
And it's just, I was like, oh, wasn't I done with all this work? But no, it's still like that it's a huge process to refine the book and make it something that's actually a good book, because the
Right.
manuscript is written very like my book manuscript contains all the technical information, but
Hmm.
we also need to make sure that we are presenting it in the best way possible
I
so that
see.
people can absorb it well and people can actually learn from the book. It's a very
Right.
different, it's a very different like process of just putting the technical information down to, refining the content and making people learn well from it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It must be really challenging to keep balancing. You have your work and you have some side projects going on, YouTube blog posts, and then you're writing a book.
Mhm.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of nights and weekends, but yeah, I really enjoy it
Mhm.
because as I said, I really want to help people learn about security.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing about your effort and what you're doing. Um, yeah. So yeah, I think I ran out of questions. Let me actually uh, quickly check if I had more questions. Actually, I wanted to ask you, why did you start a YouTube channel?
Mhm.
But I feel like you kind of talked about it. But
I can still talk
yeah,
about it.
right. Why did you start YouTube channel?
I
Did you
like
wanna
talking.
become
So,
a popular YouTuber, or was there any different,
why did I start a
reasons?
YouTube channel?
Hmm.
Like, I didn't want to become a popular YouTuber at all.
Why not?
That was not my intention at all.
Hmm.
Like, I started my YouTube channel on a whim, really.
Hmm.
Like, I guess my quote unquote social media presence started from my blog.
Hmm.
And then 2 years into my blog, I felt like I really needed a new challenge in terms of side projects. I needed to learn something new from my side
Mm-hmm.
projects. So I started YouTube because I wanted to learn all the skills that goes into being a YouTuber, like
Mm-hmm.
script writing, recording, video editing, animation, presenting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started my YouTube channel as a way to force myself to learn those things, right?
Right.
Yeah, and also part of the reason was that quite a few of my followers have reached out to me saying that they learn much better with video rather than just blog posts. So the YouTube is sort of a way of making my experimentation of making security education more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think with my blog, it's this huge block of English text, right? It takes a lot of time to read, and you need to like sit down and be there for a long period of time. And some people just don't learn that way. Some people want something more visual
Mm-hmm.
or something that's, from audio, for instance.
Right.
And I want to experiment with those mediums
Mm-hmm.
and see how people respond to different ways of learning.
That's great. Actually, kind of started my YouTube video to
Mm-hmm.
actually improve my communication skills as well.
Mm-hmm.
After COVID, like I was, everybody's stuck at home. We don't really meet people, and like my wife is an American. We speak English at home, but
Mm-hmm.
my wife understood me as soon as I say like one or two words, and we just know like what we are talking about. But most of
Mm-hmm.
the time in real life, if I say one or two words to native English speakers, they would not know what I'm actually talking about, right? So kind of
Mm-hmm.
wanted to improve my communication skills as well. That's why I kind of started my YouTube channel. So yeah, I guess a lot of people actually learn things during that journey, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because like making YouTube video is really difficult. It's not as easy as it seems, at
Right.
least as what it seemed to me. I thought it'd just be like, oh, you just talk to a camera. But
Right.
there's so much that goes into presenting information well. There's so much that goes into making a video engaging, interesting,
Right.
but yet, you know, with enough technical information,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And also like at first when I was looking at the little camera lens, and my brain
Mm-hmm.
kind of like freezed. I couldn't really say anything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, totally, right? It's so hard. It's so much harder talking to a camera than a person.
People. Yeah,
It's
I love
completely
this now
different.
right now. Like I
Yeah,
talking to people, and it's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's much easier, right?
Right. It's way easier.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
I'm still staring at the camera, but
mhm.
it's different.
Oh,
Still
I'm not staring at the camera at all.
really?
I still can't get used to it, honestly.
Oh,
Like,
really?
I still like to look at faces when I talk, I think.
Yeah,
Or maybe
it's
I should
actually
like stick a face on my camera, just like a face, the little tiny face next to it.
yeah, maybe.
Maybe that would help. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I know that's a problem with me on these interviews, actually. I
Mhm.
never look at the camera. And then people are just like, oh, why aren't you looking at the camera? Like, because I'm looking at the person I'm talking to.
Right. And then
And
for other person, you're
mhm,
looking a little down,
yeah, exactly. That's
looking something
not what
different.
you're supposed to do,
Right.
right? In the
Yeah.
YouTube video, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think this is my end of the question.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, is there anything you just wanted to, talk about? I think my in my channel, my subscribers are currently studying computer science,
Hmm.
and I think they're the audience. My channel is small. I have like 88 subscribers.
Hmm.
Thank you so much, guys, for subscribing my channel. Is there anything you just wanna, casually talk about
Yeah, sure.
from just in general working in tech, like,
Mhm. I think I mean, touching on my previous point about blogging,
Mhm.
like obviously I really, really enjoy blogging and I really enjoy writing. But I think it's the same principle applies to all the people who want to become, software developers,
Mhm.
developer evangelists, engineers in general. It's really, really important to when you're looking for a job to find a side project that you really enjoy and that you can excel in. because the quality of your work is very important and it communicates many things to the employer. So if you can find a side project format that you enjoy, then you can make that side project really good. And then job opportunities would just come naturally from that.
That's really great advice, Vicky. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Yeah. All right. So this is the end of the interview with Vicky. So thank you so much for joining me and sharing your what you're doing and advice and stuff. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Vicky.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Seho.
All right. Yeah. So I'm going to have all the links and everything that we talked about, like Vicky's channel, blogs, post, and podcast on description. So please check them out if you are interested in web securities or if you're interested in becoming a developer evangelist. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Bye.